Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you join us on Global Matters today. Here we bring you international issues that shape the world, issues of global agenda that determine our national and common interests, especially our interest in Africa and indeed in Nigeria. My name is Tindalabi. Thank you for taking the time to join us on the program. This Friday, thank God it's another Friday. On the show, we're looking at the issue of development and information technology and African culture, language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, drama, and the arts describe the culture of a particular group of people. The convergence of two external influences, Arab Islamic and European Christianity, on the indigenous heritage is an important fact about African cultural history. The impact of technology on African culture now far changed the norm to which the continent has been subjected for well over a millennium, has taken the center stage. On the continent, the values and lifestyle associated with these traditions have been adopted and indigenized to a significant extent. This discovery sheds light on the phenomena of African westernization through technology in a broader sense, a rise in the number of innovators and entrepreneurs using mobile technology in fields such as business, healthcare, education, theater, movies. Some of the cultural repercussions, digitalization in combination with developments in communication has revolutionized the speed at which this knowledge is distributed by making information what was previously unknown or only available to a small number of researchers available to all. Given the expanding influence of mobile banking, digital currencies, space research, online media, and streaming health products and other technical advancements in Africa, these activities appear to be genuine attempts to gain greater control over African arts and culture, while they may be driving them to extinction. Technology compels Africa to interrogate and criticize its cultural values and existence as it opens them to global scrutiny and modification. No doubt, global technology advancement may have changed some elements of African cultural values. They have become a new way for Africans to connect with the West and its advancement. As Africa celebrates the Africa Day every year on 25th May, these years Africa Day gives us the opportunity to look at how the penetration of global information and communication technology into Africa has changed our ways of life and connected us to the world's global village. Right, joining us from London on the show to review this issue is Dr. Malcolm Benson. Dr. Benson is the president of the UK Nollywood Producers Guild, the UK-based legal practitioner that will be looking at the influence of culture and technology on drama and how they have influenced what they do. He is also the CEO of Benales Media Production in the United Kingdom. Also joining us from London is Dr. Philip Ida. Dr. Philip Ida is a great man who's contributed a lot to the field of medical in the United Kingdom, a seasoned medical practitioner in London, and a presidential aspirant. He'll be telling us more how politicians can activate some of the benefits that we need to enjoy in Africa when it comes to global technology and advancement. And indeed, the practitioner in the field of Lucade Adebayo, he is the CEO of Crowd. I don't know if you heard about Crowd. Crowd is an African-based streaming platform for exclusive African contents, and education, information, and indeed entertainment. He's joining us from Lagos. Great to have you guys join us on the show. It's going to be bumper pack. Unfortunately, I haven't got the time, but we can manage the time today. We'll come back just after this break, and I'll have my guest join me on this very important topic. Don't go away. The world has become more connected than ever before. Every continent, color, race, language, and religion, even government, moves towards common goals. We now live in a global village. Here on this program, we bring you global issues to shape our world.
Government can do a lot with tax revenues collected for health and education.
The role of the European Union is to accompany a partner, that is Nigeria, in offering our lessons learned to see whether together we can improve that situation.
The emphasis on education, on vocational training, on the development of entrepreneurship is absolutely critical to its democracy.
The Nigerian government, we would ask them to follow up the investigations that we have had the evidence that we have gathered, and ultimately we made a number of recommendations.
As we travel the world, we explore these issues of international and diplomatic relevance. Indeed, the global agenda that determine our national and common interests. With me, Tunde Alabi, live on the IT. The world has become more connected than ever before. Every continent, color, race, language, and religion, even government, move towards common goals. We now live in a global village. Here on this program, we bring you global issues to shape our world.
Government can do a lot with tax revenues collected for health and education.
The role of the European Union is to accompany a partner, that is Nigeria, in offering our lessons learned to see whether together we can improve that situation.
The emphasis on education, on vocational training, on the development of entrepreneurship is absolutely critical to its democracy.
The Nigerian government, we would ask them to follow up the investigations that we have had, the evidence that we have gathered, and ultimately we made a number of recommendations.
As we travel the world, we explore these issues of international and diplomatic relevance. Indeed, the global agenda that determine our national and common interests. With me, Tunde Alabi, live on the IT. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us on the program today. I serve my guest right there, Dr. Malcolm Benson, the president of UK Nollywood Producers Guild, joining us from London, United Kingdom. And also have Dr. Philip Idel. Dr. Philip is a man who has had great impact in the area of medicine in the United Kingdom, seasoned medical practitioner, and Lukade Adebayo, who is a man who is making impact in the area of technological video streaming. He is the CEO of Crowd. They're looking at the impact of technology on African culture as Africa celebrates Africa Day last Wednesday. Let me start with you, Doc. Malcolm, thank you for joining us. You are in the area of using movies, Mollywood, theater to promote culture, African values, and pass message to your viewers around the world. Malcolm, tell us how much impact has, I know you are in London there, but how much impact, either negative or positive, has technology had on your job as an African person, getting your job done, getting your job across to the people, the message you try to pass in terms of African culture, value, promoting them? Tell us.
Wow. Okay. So thank you for inviting me to this very interesting program. The topic is very, very good, especially with us coming out of the pandemic, where we know that technology has changed the way we operate, not only the way we make our movies, the way we interact with our colleagues in different countries, also the way we share our content. So very positively, I may say that technology has really given us a new birth to new opportunities. The way we now run our projects has limited the costs that we normally otherwise would incur. Prior to having good technology, was actually enhanced, especially during this pandemic. There had been a lot of movements having to have face-to-face interactions, which cost a lot of money. If you have to travel to, let's say, to Africa or to Europe or America to meet with the distribution team. So in effect, technology has really helped us so much in order to minimize those burden of movement. It has also streamlined the way we produce our content and the way we tell our stories. People can now access what we produce on different platforms. the likes of Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney, different platforms that you've never even thought about. Technology has made it possible and has impacted on the way Africans can tell their own stories. These days, even non-Africans are beginning to really chip into African values and stories because they have been able to access it. I would say the technology that has been developed, especially during the pandemic, made a whole lot of difference, and it was seriously an advantage.
Thanks a lot, Malcolm.
What we do now. I'll leave it for now, and I'm coming again.
Yes,
different aspects.
Yes, absolutely. But before I go to Dr. Idel in London, Kayode, let me come to you. You are in the business of helping people like Malcolm, who are into movie industry, get their products, get their services online through your platform, Crowd. But Kayode, this is my question. In those days, we will have people gather under the tree with our fathers or great grandfathers, telling them stories of things that happened, but we don't get that these days again. People would rather go to platform as yours, a Crowd, to watch movies. How much has this changed how people get to know Africa and the world? Kayode.
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the platform also. Thank you for choosing such a topic to talk about. It's quite important, especially at a time like this. Well, for a platform like ours,
I'm afraid we have
to us developing a platform like this, and the idea was for us to be able to
I'm afraid we're having some network problem with Kayode's line. Kayode, we're having issues with your line. Let me go to Dr. Philip in London. Let's meet Kayode because we're having problem with his line. Kayode, we are having problem with your line. Your line is breaking. We cannot hear you very well. Okay, let me go to Dr. Philip. Dr. Philip, what role should politicians play in tapping into the benefits that technology brings to us in Africa? You are a seasoned medical practitioner, you're a politician, you're out there in the Western world, in the United Kingdom. We see how technology and other advanced Western equipment have changed the world, changed life. Unlike what we have in our culture, the herbs that we drink, the trees and the roots that we put together. How much has technology changed the way medicine turns, especially for us in Africa? Dr. Philip, and how can politicians begin to assess some of the benefits of technological development to grow some of the cultural values and nature we have in Africa? Dr. Philip.
Thank you so much, Kayode, for having me on the platform today. I would say that first of all, if you look at countries that have really broken through and have become, transited from poverty to prosperity in the past, say 50 years, these are countries that paid attention to technology. So you look at countries like Japan, countries like South Korea, countries like China, countries like India, where great, and tremendous, steps are being made or being taken to transform the lives of citizens in every aspect. Technology has played a key role, and that is why the question of STEM sciences or the STEM subjects, it has to be something that every government, and I would dare say that particularly African governments, need to pay a better attention to. Number two is that we need to develop an aptitude for expert leadership in these areas. What do I mean by that? You want to bring on board and put together a team of people who are leaders as experts in the STEM subjects and people who understand how to interface STEM or technology with national development. Why is this important? Technology is one of the primary elements of national power. It's so significant, it is so important to national pride, to national development, to national aspirations, both for the young and as well as for the old. Now, when you look at medicine in our practice these days, the impact of technology, as Dr. Benson pointed out, in the for culture, is be tremendous, particularly during this period of COVID. But we saw both the positive and the negative side of technology during the COVID era. And I think that this is where governments need to have a stronger grip of the deployment of technology and the kind of technology they allow in the national space. Fake news, in my opinion, and I think that this will be empirically proven, destroyed more lives during the pandemic than the pandemic itself. It's not just in terms of the number of people who fell ill or who became sick or who died. It is the psychological impact of fake news propagated by the uncontrolled usage of technology during the pandemic. But we also know that on the positive side, the rapidity with which the pandemic was brought under control has been down to the impact and the tremendous advances that have been made in science. So I think that what technology brings to any country, and I will speak directly about Nigeria now. It's so significant that, in my view, no political leader should be seeking to rule our country if they do not have that knowledge-led aptitude to leadership. They don't need to be scientists. They do not need to be experts in technological issues, but they need to understand the place of expert leadership in technology. You do not bring people to lead the technological sector in any aspect, whether in terms of information management, information technology, or in terms of research and development. You do not bring people who are not expert leaders to provide leadership in this core area. Because we get it right in these aspects, the possibilities of our being able to control crime, the possibility of our being able to provide food security, our ability to be able to deal stronger or better with the issues and challenges of insecurity, no doubt will be fast-tracked.
All right, Doctor,
so
thanks a lot.
I think that as a political thinker and activist, I believe that technology should be one of our core elements. In terms of planning our development.
Right,
that is why in my campaigning and statements, for instance, I put issue of climate change and the issue of knowledge-led leadership at the heart of our campaign agenda whilst I was in the race. I'm no longer in the race. But I think that these issues are so important if Nigeria is to transit from her present status to a status that is commensurate to where we should be in a record time.
Dr. Philip, thanks a lot.
Fortunately, Nigeria is blessed with an abundance of absolutely gift.
All right, Dr. Philip, thanks a lot. I'm afraid because of my time. Let me try Kayode Adebayo in Lagos. Kayode, are you there? Let's try your line. Kayode, are you there? Is Kayode there? So we're looking at yes. So let's go back to my initial question. Let's go back to my initial question. How his platform as yours helping to promote what people like Malcolm is doing in advancing the cultural value of Africa.
Okay, thank you for the platform, as I said once again. The idea basically is that if you noticed, he mentioned platforms which, if you notice, he mentioned things like Netflix, like Hulu, like Amazon, and all those platforms. One thing you notice is that those platforms cater for they cater for premium content, which most likely have a kind of sizable budget in being able to create, create and eventually produce and distribute. What crowd came on the back of what crowd rode on was the fact that when you notice premium content on the premium platforms and content that are able to make cinema make only about 20% of the total content market of Africa. Because when you look at the content that are able to go to the cinema and be able to be shown in the cinema, and the ones that are able to make platforms like Netflix, there are very few. But who now caters for the content that are in between, which is almost 80% of the market? Who caters for that independent creative that put his own out-of-pocket budget and went into the market to be able to create a story that probably is quite indigenous and wants to put it out and allow people to hear it or see it, and then be able to generate a kind of revenue for himself that he can eventually probably sink back into making other movies and taking care of himself and his family. That is what crowd is created for, that independent market that one way or the other is sizable, 80% of the big market itself. A lot of people are carrying content around in their hard drives. A lot of people are carrying content around in a lot of people are so frustrated that they put it on free-to-air platforms, which, for even 1 million views, you will not get $1,000. So what we have decided is that, look, the reason why content is cheap and very accessible is because it is just put out there in the open. What if we create a situation where we can have a group of super fans or a group of super audience that are curated separately, put on another platform, and your content can be released to these people? Imagine. All right,
Kaude, I'm afraid I may not be able to go too far into this discussion, but I want to give you one assurance. Dr. Malcolm Benson, I'm certainly going to bring you back on this topic. I'm being told I need to round off now because something important is to come on here now. Dr. Malcolm Benson, I'll certainly bring you back to look at this issue. Dr. Philip Idao, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. Kaude Adebayo, I will bring you back. More importantly, with Dr. Malcolm, we need to have a kind of synergy between what Dr. Benson, Malcolm creates and what you, Kaude Adebayo, creates, a platform that you offer for these African contents to have these contents out there and compete and promote us. Thank you so much, Dr. Malcolm Benson. Thank you for your time. I'm afraid this is how far I can go on the program. As I said,
yes, basically. So that's what
I will bring you back. Kaude Adebayo, thank you so much again. I will bring you back. Dr. Philip, thank you so much. This is how far I can go on the program. My name is Tunde Alabi. Thank you for your time on the show. It's another weekend. Stay safe.